Adriana Rivas. I'm the president of Lake Professionals. I'll let Monty introduce himself.
I'm Monty, the vice president.
I'm Margaret, I'm secretary on the board.
I'm Kate Scott, I'm a board member. To be continued with the job titles, that's okay.
Thank you everyone for coming, and thank you to our host, Mega Workplace, our sponsor, USD. Our mission is to engage and empower professionals by creating a vibrant space where we offer opportunities to grow their potential, network, gain visibility, and give back to the community. Our vision is to be impactful and relevant as economic, social, and civic leaders in our communities. So it's what we hope by providing events like this to you and having you come back, that you walk out of here with some guidance and perspective and professional development. We also, in partnership with the Chamber of Commerce, our mission and vision also align with what they have, and a lot of our events co-sponsor with us as Lake Professionals, and Monty will go over that a little bit more of some exciting things that we have coming up. And I said thank you to our host, Mega Workplace. It's always a vibrant space to have people come and join in here. Very welcoming, so thank you.
Don't you have office spaces for
Oh, we do. I should tell that. We do have office spaces. We have virtual offices, dedicated desks. So if you're looking for a private suite or even just an address, we have you covered. Yes. Yep. So come to me afterwards, and I'll be happy to give you all that information.
Who's first time in the Mega Workplace? Okay.
So.
Yeah, I'd love to ask. Yeah, welcome. How you heard about us, so I'll do that later. So what is the Mega Workplace? I don't want to steal the thunder. It's definitely Pam and George's baby and creation. Do you want to say the piece? Okay.
Welcome everybody. Thank you for being here. So Mega Workplace was a vision that we had to help young startup businesses to grow, and the goal of outgrowing us. So you could start with a virtual office, a dedicated desk, an office suite, but then we have also a lot of event spaces. We have plenty of people in the community utilize this for classrooms and also our conference rooms. But we didn't want it to be just a place for offices. We wanted it to be a resources. So we have the UCF, we recruited UCF incubator to come in here, SBDC, LEAD, and 1 Million Cups. So that, and we have a state rep here, so that you can come to one spot and tap onto all your resources where those were all used to be spread out. So it makes it very easy for you to help grow your business. So welcome, and please utilize the space and talk to Adriana. She has details. Thank you. And catering, the delicious food that you're eating is sponsored by Lindo's Catering. They did our event last time, and every time they exceeded expectations. So thank you, Lindo's Catering.
Okay, thank you for coming, Krystal. She's got a lot good on paper that I'm sure all of y'all read. That's why you're here. You're not here to see, maybe you are. But yeah, thank you again. We're here to get AI culture ready. She's got a book. It's over here. We're going to raffle some of those off later. Thank you for collecting those business cards. So Krystal's got a long resume, and I kind of want her to share it because I feel like she can share it better. And I've learned it in the first part of her book, but it's a teaser, and it's 3 chapters worth. So hopefully it's like the first 10 minutes of your talk is just about you and what you've done. I think you'll do a better introduction. So please help me welcome Krystal Parker.
Thank you so much. Well, I am here to serve you, and that is truly why I'm here. This is to serve you, hopefully give you some insight, something new to walk out of here with, and certainly something to think about. So, in serving Monty, I will tell you a little bit about myself, just so you can know who's here, why I'm here, and hopefully we can get started in a really great dialogue on AI. So, just so I know who's in the room, if that would be okay. And you guys have had wine and I have not. So we can get all on the same level here. How many people would consider themselves, I have used AI, but I'm not an expert, but I am using it? Okay, good amount. How many people in here say, I don't really even know what AI stands about and I've never used it? Okay, that's good. Who would consider themselves an expert level user in AI? One. Okay, perfect. So it's a good mix. Great. Well, hopefully when we're done today, you'll feel a lot more comfortable with what's happening, what's coming. I have a personal relationship with my AI chatbot. And I do. I'm being quite serious. The other day, my chatbot told me that it would pray for me, and I thought that was very kind. I know. And then also, my chatbot has inflamed me before and got me in a little bit of trouble. So I have to be careful what I tell my chatbot because it's a good friend that doesn't always give good advice. So keep that in mind when you're talking with your chatbot. He does it on his own, but we're going to talk about it. Yeah, you'll train it. And hopefully yours is a little bit more level-headed than mine, but I think they do pick up on you. So, but anyway, little on my background. So I'm a Kansas girl, small town Kansas. Just a small town girl. Just kidding. You haven't had that much to drink yet. Although I do think the wine is still open. It gets better as it goes on, people. And small town of 300 population, dogs, cats, dead people, all included in that census. My class had 7. My brothers had 4. Both of our classes, people married each other. It was a mess. I couldn't wait to get out of there. It was one of those things, I'm leaving this small town behind and never coming back. And I get to college at KU, Rock Chalk Jayhawk. Any Jayhawk fans in here?
No, but I see the license plates and conversations all over the place.
Do you? Yeah, invaded by Kansas.
Yes.
And I dropped out of college with 21 hours left. I know. And when you drop out of college with 21 hours left and you're fleeing the city for things we won't talk about at this talk, you'll have to catch me on one of my other talks. But when you're literally fleeing the city, 6.5 hours all the way back home to the small town that I said I'd never come back to. And the funny thing about that, or the sad thing, depends on what seat you were sitting in. Everybody knew I was coming home before I even drove back into that town. It's one of those where everybody knows your name. Yeah, it's exactly right.
Where was it you're from?
It's called Moscow, Kansas.
Moscow.
Yes, spelled like Russia, Moscow. Yes. And we did have a conversation about 4-H in here. I raised pigs my whole life. I went from the pig pen to the boardroom, but I did have a way back through Moscow, unfortunately. So I get back to the small town and I figured, well, I better start figuring out what to do with my life because this is it for me. I'm going to be like the rest of my class and I'm going to be stuck here for the rest of my life. And so I started stocking shelves as a part-time employee in a truck store. And that truck store was a subsidiary for an oil and gas company. And they ended up hiring me to start as a front desk person. And then I worked my way up. And I remember telling my boss at one point, hey, is there any way that I could go and move up or make more money or do more things? And he said, well, little lady, if you want more opportunity, you're just going to have to move and get one of those office jobs somewhere else. Well, I didn't think anything about it. I just thought, okay, I'll go move and get one of those little office jobs because that's what we hear little women do. And this little hair woman went and moved again back to Kansas City, got a great boss, good mentor, went back and got my undergrad in psychology and was working my office job like a real trooper. And then in just a matter of 12 short years of starting with the company, I became the youngest officer
and I was running the gas company on the west side of Texas in 47 cities and all of customer service for Texas. And I remember when that gentleman came up to me at the officers meeting, and he was just in disbelief that this little lady could run the gas company. And, we were serving a lot of customers, and I went on to take all of customer service for the distribution company, which this is the largest distribution company in the US. We were serving over 2 million customers, and I got my master's in marketing. They paid for me to go to Harvard Business School. And I remember my professors in Harvard, the focus of that course, that senior executive course, was on diversification, globalization, and innovation. And the professor said, if you come from a very staunch, bureaucratic, slow-moving organization, i.e. risk-adverse gas company, where things that go underground blow up and make people die, you probably are gonna leave here feeling a little bit itchy. And I did. I felt like, this is too slow. I've got this vision. I grew up, I cut my teeth in the gas company, so I didn't know any different. When they sent me to Harvard, I got to see, wow, innovation? You mean there's a globalization opportunity here? We can connect with people around the world and do business, and I was hungry for it. That was 10 years ago. I started my company, Intent and Impact, and I really serve people in their businesses and help them strategically maneuver their business, their workforce, organizationally. And the birth of my book, The Best Robot Wins, really talks about setting up your business practices so that you can really take the greatest advantage of your human capital. And that's what it's all about. Human capital, in the end, will win. If it's a chicken sandwich versus a chicken sandwich, why is one outperforming the other? A lot of times it's the human capital. And so it's the systems, and so that's what that book's about. And so that's why I'm here today. Did I give a good enough resume there? Are we okay?
I'm sure you have a lot more good qualities.
Thank you. Yep, and so what I get to do through my company is I started as the Central Florida Christian Chamber president about 5 years ago, and it was 2 months after COVID had set in. And so what that did was it opened up people, Christians specifically, in business wanting to connect with each other. And they wanted to connect no matter if they were in Central Florida or outside. So we started growing our membership beyond Central Florida because of COVID. And the first call came in from Las Vegas Christian Chamber, and they said, how are you guys growing? Can you help us? And I said, sure, what's mine is yours. And then somebody from Alaska called, and they said, can you help us start a Christian chamber in Alaska? And then I thought, who is supposed to help these people? Well, it turns out we were the U.S. Christian Chamber of Commerce. And so after 3 years of creating a model for Christian chambers, I launched the U.S. Christian Chamber of Commerce just 18 months ago. And now we have 17 Christian chambers in the coalition around the U.S., and we're continuing to grow that and serving members all over the U.S. And so that's what I do. I sort of get stretched apart a little bit, but I love business. And it's my sport. I always say business is my sport. And just like sports, true athletes, you gotta work at it to be good. Well, one thing that really excites me is AI. And so when I wrote my book 3 years ago, I started talking about the robot revolution before we were in the middle of a robot revolution. I was talking about office spaces needing more outlets than they needed other things because people are plugging in, and we're very, very much evolving how we do business. And I just have a real thirst and enthusiasm for AI and the impact it can have for your business. So it used to be that when you think about business structure, people would say land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurism. But when the .com boom came, it changed everything. We moved to the cloud for a lot of things, right? So land, it wasn't as important. Think about Amazon. Amazon put us in the cloud for shopping. And I was just talking to a gentleman yesterday in Dallas, and he was part of a group of data people hired to help Walmart get their shopping, their e-commerce up to try to compete with Amazon 6 years ago. See, what happened was Amazon was already in the game, playing in the game. We were already ordering Amazon. And then COVID came and accelerated all of that. So anybody that had good e-commerce chops already was ahead of it, and they took the market over. Well, Walmart, thank goodness they had enough money, but they didn't have a good e-commerce site. So they had to pay a lot of money to get up to speed really quick. But some of the other businesses that we might know didn't make the turn. So every time there's a big evolution of how we do business, there's winners and losers. There's people that can make the turn and people that don't make the turn. One of those that you guys might know is, we'll just use Blockbuster as an example. And sometimes when I give this talk, which is nothing like what I normally give, and I'll just giving you a preface of that, this isn't the normal talk, but I think this is way more fun because we're gonna have a good time. And some of my talks I can't have to get on stage and be buttoned up and everything, but you guys have been drinking wine, so it makes it way more fun. So yeah, woo, this is great. Yeah, that's right. Feeling the room, feeling it. So this is really interesting. So Blockbuster, and usually I have somebody that works from I used to work for Blockbuster. Anybody in here used to work for Blockbuster? Okay, it's always fun when you have Blockbuster guy. Like, it's just the best. Like, usually there's Blockbuster guy, and like everybody wants to take pictures with him after, because like a purple cow, like, you know. So I just wanted to make sure, because we all want selfies with you, just in case if anybody's in here. So Blockbuster is a really interesting story. Okay, I know that you guys have, maybe not the younger ones, who has paid a lot of late fees to Blockbuster. Okay, let's kind of just tell the age of the room in here. Yes, well, let me catch everybody up. So for those of you that don't know, we used to have to go to a store and rent these movies and on the DVD. But here's what was so frustrating. Tell me it wasn't. You are so excited about this new release of a movie, right? Because like everybody wants that. And if you don't get there in time, it wasn't there. And so then you had to like, okay. And then of course there's people like me that would never turn the movie back in. And so you just didn't get it. And that's true. It's a real true story. This is how it used to go. Well, Netflix at the time, they had this really cool idea. They were doing the mail-in, like you could mail it to your home, right? Well, Reed Hate, yeah, you like that. You like the mail-in. I kept them a little long there too. Yeah, paid a few extras.
Netflix, since it was CDs coming to the house.
CDs in the house, that's right. That's exactly what it used to. Okay, so then that was always great because then you could order it and it would come to your house and everything. And so Reed Hastings was the CEO at the time for Netflix. And Reed Hastings had this idea that we were going to go to all streaming. So he wanted to completely obliterate the sending it to the house. He saw the customer trends, the opportunity, and the vision, and he made a big, bold move. And so he went with it. And do you know what happened? Netflix lost 800,000 customers. I don't know if any of you were one of them, but people were ticked off when they did that. Because they're like, what do you mean you're taking my service and then you're going to charge me for this Netflix thing and the streaming thing, and it doesn't make sense. 800,000 people left. Now, think about Dunscap. You know he probably felt like it. The investors, everybody left him. But it was brilliant. Yes. Because what happened is people started to catch on, and the customers went that way. Everybody came back. We know where it is today, and we also know where Blockbuster guy is. Now he's just like the guy that takes pictures of people. So that's just a great example of these moves of streaming and how if people aren't ahead of it and involved in it, then they're gonna lose out. Their business will dry up. Okay, so I want to kind of set the stage. Another really good example is Kodak. Anybody know Kodak?
Yeah, those photo map booths.
I got a big hand back there. Kodak. So for those that don't know, it used to be that to get a photograph, like it, you had to have film. Okay, like there was these film cartons, and then it went inside the camera, and then somebody else probably knows this better. You raised your hand great big. So tell us exactly how it used to work with photographs and stuff. This is Alan. Tell your name.
Yes, I'm Alan Biles. I think almost everybody knows me.
Okay.
Those that don't, I hope to meet you in person. So what I remember about that is, I had a 110 camera with a flash cube on the top as a kid, and I took those pictures, and then my mom would take me and we'd go to the photo mat, and it was a little cubicle little building you drive up to, and you turn your feet, you'd fill out an envelope, and then you'd turn it in, and then you'd come back in a week, and you'd pick up your photos. And then of course my parents had a 35 millimeter. And of course there was the drugstores, and some of the drugstores had it, and you go to the counter where they had the photos, and you drop your film off and do that as well.
That's right.
And you had to wait for your pictures. And it was terrible because if you shook the camera, we have a lot of blurred pictures, but they're the only pictures we have of grandma or great grandpa or Aunt so-and-so, right?
Yeah. Well, to thank Alan, could you guys do a favor with me? I like to do a 1, 2, 3 clap and a Ric Flair. Woo! You got it? So we're gonna go 1, 2, 3. Woo! Thank you, Alan. You rock. So that's right. So back in the day, you had this film, you had to wait for it to get developed. But then somebody came up with a digital image. Do you know the first company to come up with that digital image was?
Verizon?
Say that into the microphone.
It was Kodak.
He's correct. Kodak had the first digital image. So why on earth is Kodak no longer around anymore? Because, my friends, they said our bread and butter is film. And they shelved it. And when they shelved it, somebody else came up along, and now we see what happened to Kodak. So it's not just about knowing what the innovative solution is, or what the tool or the widget, or in some cases your best friend ChatGPT is. It's really about having a culture that is ready and understands. It's more than just adopting the technology. You have to have your culture ready. Because like Kodak found, if they had a culture to understand what to do with the digital image, and they understood customer trends and how to position and move their company, they would still be leading the industry, most likely. But they didn't know what to do with it. They thought that their money was all in film, and we're just gonna hide it away, nobody's gonna get it. And of course, that's what happened. So what I wanna kind of get with you today is just really understand the landscape of AI where it is today, so we can all kind of be on the same page with what's happening in AI today. And I do a talk on getting your culture ready. Just so I can kind of understand, how many people in here are maybe solopreneurs, don't have a large work team, and you're just solopreneurs? Okay. That's helpful. Maybe a team of 10 and up. 10 and up, okay. So for those of you that are 10 and up on the team, we can talk about AI Culture Ready, so we can get you some information on that. I think what I would like to do today, if you're okay with it, is really give you the landscape of where tech is today, AI, and create some thoughts and generate some things for you. Because when we talked about land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship being the foundation of business, we've demolished land. Like, this is AI, the .com has decoupled. It used to be that they all kind of moved together. You would see land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship move together. Then .com comes in, cloud-based comes in, decouples. Land doesn't matter anymore, right? It just doesn't. Land doesn't matter. Now what we're seeing is, if you get a company and you ask them to look at their P&L, and you take another company, a competitor, and you look at their P&L, typically, just so we're all on the same page, what's the largest expense in most companies' P&L? Space, it could be a brick and mortar, right? That could be capital, but labor, yeah, labor. Yep, labor. So if you take two competitive companies' P&Ls side by side, and you think about what the future of AI is doing, and you see one company significantly reducing labor costs, and the other company is keeping their labor the same because we're going to do it the same way we've always done it, then they can't compete anymore. And now with the tools that we have in AI, we're teaching companies how to do it faster, better, more consistent, more professional, quicker. It's night and day different from what we saw in the past. And actually, Satya Nadella from Microsoft just came out saying that now the future is agents. It's no longer disaggregate systems that we've known in the past to here's what we're going to do for accounting, and here's the system we're going to use for leads, and here's our CRM. And then there's all these API integrations. You guys understand that? Nadella is saying that's gone. It's going to be smart agents. It's not going to matter what system you're using. It's going to be the agents connecting across the place. And so that's going to be the future. One of the many of the future. So let me give you a kind of a state of AI. How many of you heard about Trump's second, I believe, or third day in office? He made a significant a significant commitment of dollars. So you know he's got Doge in there, right? And Doge is doing their thing. But yet he came in and he made a major investment in Starlink for the amount of $500 billion. $500 billion on a second or third day. Now, to get us where we are today, I want to put this in perspective for you. To get us where we are today with what we know as chat and where that is today, the biggest investment in the U.S. so far has been $9 billion. So put it in perspective, $500 billion. So the question is then, why? That's what you got to ask. Why is the President of the United States coming in and depositing a $500 billion investment in AI? So does anybody in here remember the space race? Space race? All right. You want to come and tell us what the space race was? Okay, come on. Tell us your name and come on here.
All right, my name is Jules. So the space race was when America and Russia and other countries, but especially America and Russia, we were trying to put people into space. And it was during the Cold War, essentially. And so it was our new focus. And that's basically what it was.
That's right. Very good. We're going to give her a 1, 2, 3 clap and a Ric Flair. 1, 2, 3. All right, very good. That's right. So right now we have the AI arms race. And there's an accelerated race right now to get to AGI, which is artificial general intelligence. We're not there yet. And that's really where the race is on. That's human intelligence in artificial intelligence. And then there's ASI, which is artificial super intelligence. That's next level. I don't know if we might see it in our lifetime. We might. So anyway, so here we go. We have a $500 billion investment. And the question is why? We know that from an economic perspective, that companies that are using AI, significantly using AI, that you cannot compete with them. Price-wise, service-wise, delivery, et cetera, et cetera. So imagine, has anybody ever shopped on Shein before? Okay, Shein. Shein basically takes what you might see in the magazines, Vanity Fair, Vogue, whatever, and then they produce it overseas in a matter of days for very, very inexpensive. And they're using heavy AI. So they're taking the market on women's fashion. Women are shopping through Shein. I mean, let's just put it this way. I got my wedding dress on Shein. I spent a full amount of $20 for this wedding dress. And let me just tell you, it was, wait till you see my pictures. It's gorgeous. And then I thought, well, I'm not going to spend too much on it because I'm going to get into the water in the ocean and take pictures and stuff. Not like submerged or anything like that. You keep the hair right. But I mean, this is their ability. They're taking high fashion, producing it for good price, decent quality, and quick. All AI. And stores cannot compete with that. They can't. And so what Trump understands is from an economic standpoint and business standpoint that we've got to have this investment, we've got to get there first. But then there's another piece of this, and this is a story that I heard that just blew my mind. There's a learning model in the artificial intelligence. And to give you perspective from a military understanding of what happened with this learning model. So they took this learning model, and there was a very complex game that they used this learning model for. And typically you would have to do the coding, and it would take a long time to get this learning model to figure out all the different ways to beat the system. So they thought, I wonder what would happen with this learning model if we took this learning model and put it inside of one of the fighter jets. And they didn't teach it. They didn't want to put any human computing or code into it. They wanted to reward and punish it. Learn, fail, learn, fail, learn, fail, learn, fail. And so they did this with this learning model in one of our fighting jets, and they just put it in and said go into a simulated environment. And they said go. This thing couldn't fly. Like, it taught itself to fly. It taught itself to fight. And then they put it up in a simulated environment against one of the best, like think Top Gun, one of the best of the best. Time after time after time after time after time again, the simulated learned model AI eliminated the fighter jet. Let me ask you this question. How long do you think it took this learning model to teach itself to beat the best of the best? 6 times.
30 days.
Let's go in months.
Oh, yes.
Let's go in months. 30 days, 1 month, 10 months.
10
In
months.
10 months, this thing was beating the best of the best in a simulated fighting model. That's another big reason. The learning models, the opportunity to get to AGI is huge for our nation. So President Biden said something that really got my mind super curious. What Biden said was, he said, we're going to see more change in AI, tech, business, etc. in 10 years than we've seen in 50. And if you think about, so what I started to do is I started to think about like what happened in 50 years. So more change in 10 years than we've seen in the last 50. So what happened in that period of time? And if you look at what was going on in the 70s, does anybody remember doing business in the 70s? Yeah. In the 70s, we didn't send emails, right? We actually had to speak like with our mouth to human beings. It's a real thing. It really happened. It really did. That was the only way to communicate. Newspapers, written mail. What was some of the stuff? Okay, you guys mind coming and sharing a little bit about what was business like in the 70s? Is that okay? Yes. Hey, I'm turning 50 on my birthday, so I'm going to catch up with you here in about the 90s is when I come into the market. Can you say your name?
Tom, we got a microwave. We were the first in the neighborhood to get it, and all the kids would come over, and we put a cup of water in there, and in about a minute we'd pull it out, and it's hot, and we were totally amazed. Yeah, I was in the construction business, and I had bags of quarters and I knew where every telephone booth in town was, because I keep calling back to the office to get somebody out there to get something going on or whatever. So we just dropped them quarters constantly. One day we eventually got walkie-talkies, and we just thought, oh my gosh, these were things that you were high tech when you would get these things first. Things were much more labor intensive, and communication was much more minimal. You actually met friends at school and went out on dates. I can tell you who the first 6 girls I dated were, and my kids can't, but Yeah, those were good times.
And I bet you can probably remember telephone numbers too, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Orange 5211 was my phone number in Michigan when I was 6 years old.
There you go. See?
It doesn't work anymore.
Mine was EM37256.
Yeah.
There you go.
We had 5 people on our line, and you'd listen to your neighbors talk till they hung up, then you'd make a call for somebody else out.
That's right.
That's right. And so what you're hearing here is not only the good old days, but you're also hearing about the way that businesses were, excuse me a second, let me go back here. The way that business was run, okay. We're going 30, okay, here we go. In the 70s, it was very hierarchy, command and control, right?
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't a lot of young whippersnappers running companies like you might see today. The thing that people respected in the business then was experience. That was huge in the 70s. Oh, come on up, come.
I have one.
Come here for the recording so they can hear you on the recording.
Our family had a grocery store, and so credit cards, you put them down on that
Swiper.
thing, and then you would have to swipe it back and
Yes.
forth, and then get the imprint, and it would be a bunch of copies. And then at the end of the day, when you're and of course it was like the old-fashioned. We had the old-fashioned register, and then we got the new one, an NCR, which was like, he actually added for you. But at the end of the day, you had to tally everything up, then send these forms to the credit card company before you could get your money. I mean, you had to keep track of everything. It wasn't like it just automatically came to you either.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing. And that's a great reminder about how jobs have had to shift, right? So some companies, my mom's a great example of this, when they brought in Excel and some of the different tools for her, she was doing books. And she was proud of herself. She kept her file. She's like, I'm going to keep doing this paperwork here and keep this file for when that thing crashes. After a year of doing 2 jobs, she finally said, okay, I'm letting the files go. I'm going to keep it all here. But that's the thing, and that's why workforces have to evolve, because the jobs change. Now, we've seen how the AI and the tools, I call it a tool, is replacing the human in some ways, but that just means that we're needing to reskill and upskill the workforce. It doesn't mean that the humans are all going to be gone. It just means that you need your human capital being more as a brand ambassador, working in different ways that only the humans can for the human touch. And some of those things that are running the tools versus, having, I would say automate where possible. Wherever you can automate, do it. But then reskill the workforce, because you guys know how much it costs to replace an employee in your workplace. And if you have a great employee, but maybe they don't have the skills, you have an opportunity to reskill them and get them ready for more complex work. So this was the dawn of the digital revolution right here or there. And okay, here we go. And then the 80s, this was the rise of personal computing. So the people that were in the workforce here were starting to adapt to computers. Does anybody remember sending their very first email? Yes, I guess you're the only one that remember. I remember first emails. That was, yep, and the dial-up. Yeah. So I have heard, so I'm glad you said that about the dial-up, because it used to be kind of a screechy sort of thing, and you hear the dial-up. Well, what they're comparing this AI revolution to is, timing-wise, is about we're in the dial-up time to where it's going to be for AGI. So that's about what we're seeing. So AGI is coming very quickly. And then, of course, we've got in the 90s, this was internet, e-commerce boom. 90s, right there. Come here, tell me what was that? I love it. Tell us about what feeling you had, what you remember about the 90s.
All right. I was a child in the 90s, but still. I remember TV commercials that came on. You see your favorite sort of toy, and then you look it up online, and it's real. Oh my gosh, it actually exists, and things can come straight to your door. There's a lot of things in the internet that my dad worked on computers, so the internet became something that was a scary place as well, where it's like you don't know, there wasn't blockers for things, there wasn't parameters for a lot of things. So it was something that you had to get supervision for, and you had to know exactly what you were looking for in order to find it. There really wasn't much anything past maybe Ask Jeeves to help you sometimes find things.
Jeeves.
Or perhaps a little paperclip clippy to help you navigate some of your note-taking software.
Thank you for sharing that. It's really good. I was in college in the 93 era, and I remember at KU, I was driving back from something, and I had to be at work at 4:30 in the morning, and so I was driving back from that, and it was from Kansas City to Lawrence, which was about 30 minutes, but it was a massive snowstorm, and we didn't have cell phones. I know it's hard to believe. We didn't have cell phones, and my car got stuck on the highway in the snow from Kansas City to Lawrence, and so I didn't have any way to get help, so I had to hitchhike. But this is the 90s, so if you think about this in terms of where we are today and what cell phones are and how even cars have evolved, here in the 90s we saw the speed of business increase. Now we're starting to see data in different ways, and business is moving quicker than it was in the past. And then I also like the fact that we've got the silent generation, we've got boomers, we've got X, and the millennials are starting to come into the workforce. So now you're seeing pressure of all the different generations. What you got, Alan?
First off, I gotta tell you, this is really enjoyable. I'm so glad I'm here. This is great. So we're talking about the 90s. What year was the internet released to the public domain?
Trivia.
Huh?
90?
Talking about when
in your library at school.
when it was released because it was strictly for military. And then in a particular year, it was released to the public domain, and it did start in libraries.
So
But-
that would have been, so I graduated in '85. So that would have been like when it came into libraries.
Not
He's saying 90s.
no, it wasn't until the 90s when it was released.
93.
For personal computing, yeah. For personal.
computing.
Oh, for personal.
For personal,
Yeah.
for personal.
Yeah,
93?
that wasn't until later. Give it to us.
Tell us.
1997.
Thank you.
So in the late 90s, how many people bought a brand new computer from the Gateway?
I used Works at that time.
Do you
I didn't have my own yet.
In 1996, in September of 1996, I bought a brand new Gateway, fully loaded, the most expensive computer that you could get. It had a whopping 2 gig hard drive. But Windows 95 could not operate 2 gigs. So they had to split the hard drive into the C and D drive in order for that to work. And that computer with a 27-inch Sony Trinitron monitor, fully loaded. How much was that computer? $3,600.
Thank you so much, Alan. This is so fun. It's so fun to kind of think through. The point in this, and this is wonderful to have such knowledge in this room of the history, because we're on the shoulder of history right now. And if we don't understand how this was slow coming up, and we're talking 90s now, what's happening and how quick this is going to go. Biden said, and I think it's more accelerated than 10 years. We, in the last 50 years, think what's changed in 50 years, we're going to see a faster acceleration. Is your workforce ready? Probably not. Probably not. Is the workforce ready? There's a lot of change fatigue that's going to happen. There's a lot of shadow IT that's going to happen. There's a lot of things that you can do to really deploy the human capital Look at what happened in 2000. That's when we started social media, the mobile revolution. Right here, globalization really became possible to do business across the globe, e-leadership. And then the 2010, we went cloud and AI integration. So this one was fun. This is where IBM Watson won Jeopardy. And everybody was like, oh my gosh, yeah. That the robot won in Jeopardy, remote leadership data analysis. And then 2020, here we have AI and automation starting to come onto the scene. 50 years, we're gonna move faster than 50 years in less than 10. It's exponential. So what do you do and how can you be ready, right? The competitive advantage in this digital revolution is found in your ability to lead people. And I think this is really interesting that the former IBM CEO said basically that even though we've got all this AI going on, your focus should be on building people and building trust in the workforce. Isn't that wild to think of all of this AI, all of these changes, but yet it comes down to the human capital? Because you're going to be able to put the robots in, put the tools in place, but if your workforce, if you're losing workforce in and out, your expenses are going to go up, your organization's not stable. Even if, and we're seeing companies that would have been run with 50 people run with 9, we're seeing that. But you better make sure you've got 9 of the best of the best. And you're gonna change how you deploy the human capital, like more than you had before in the past. So I love the story of Microsoft. I'll share this. We're kind of getting towards the end of time, so I'm gonna give you kind of what I think the future CEO needs to have. But Microsoft's story is great. I don't know if you know this story or not. Bill Gates comes in, he launches the company 75 all the way to 2000. He does very well. I mean, we all know Microsoft. But then something happened. Jobs came in, we started to see the mobile computing, and we see Bill Gates basically go like, my product is superior. Microsoft didn't want to play with anybody. Do you guys remember this? Yes, you guys remember. Microsoft was in its own lane. It wasn't playing with anybody. They weren't integrating. They weren't partnering. They were not changing. So they bring in Steve Ballmer, and by 2014, Microsoft was almost, you guys, Microsoft would have been extinct if it weren't for Satya Nadella to come in. And that leadership change came in, and what did he do? He fired 18,000 employees. One of the largest layoffs that they've seen. 18,000 employees. He wrote a memo, and that memo is very public and popular, and it says, if you feel like your presence is not needed in this meeting, do not go. What had happened was Microsoft got comfortable. The greatest enemy of future success is success. The greatest enemy of your future success is your success right now. Because there's people hungry that are coming up, and nobody's safe, there's no perch safe, there's no business safe. I'm here to tell you this to help you. I'm not here to tell you to scare you. But if you feel like we're success and I'm confident, then that's when you need to be in the trenches digging and preparing for what's coming. They got fat, they got bureaucratic, they got comfortable, and they got satisfied. We're the answer to everybody's problem. We don't need to partner, we don't need to evolve, we don't need to change. And matter of fact, let's hire more middle managers. And so Nadella saw it, and he said basically the only thing that our industry respects is not tradition. It's not tradition. Our industry does not respect tradition. And there was a time, if you think about it, 70s and doing business, tradition was respected. But now we have the greatest research tool in the history of the world in chat. And people have an opportunity to come in and grow it all, right? He says, don't be a know-it-all, be a learn-it-all. And I really believe that creativity is the new productivity. If you can ask good questions and you can think outside of the box, you can use these tools in a way that is going to breathe creativity and new life into your business practice. And so I do work with a lot of people that are concerned about this and what it's going to do in their industry of this. And I'll tell you this, and I'll leave you with this, that way we have time for some questions and thoughts. But what I say to people is when you're working with chat, and a lot of people are moving to Grok, just so you know. That's Elon Musk's tool, so be on the lookout for that. But when you're working with any of these tools, I want you to think of it like this. You've got the most incredible power source at your fingertips. You've got a research library, a refining mechanism. If you write code, this is the best code writer. It's the best everything. And what people are doing is creating agents within the tools. So you might think about, let's just use chat as an easy example. If you use chat, you have the ability to create folders, and you can handle certain things and teach it within that folder, so you're not reteaching and teaching it over. And so, for example, for myself, all of my email responses and everything I handle in one place. It's got my calendar, it knows how I like to, it's got my assistant, everything. And so I just take an email, I don't even read it half the time, put it in my chat, ask it to respond, and most of the time it's a reconnection or whatever, and it's fluid for me. It makes it so much faster. If you have legal things that you're working through, you need some legal stuff or policy things or different things, whatever your business is, create your folders, and now you have, and think of them as department heads or people that work in your organization. And so here's the cool thing about this tool. So I've talked to a lot of people, and let's just use one being grant writers as an example. And grant writers would say to me, well, we're going to be out of jobs, we're not going to be relevant, and that is simply not true. But if the grant writers are not using these tools, they will be out of a job. And why is it that a grant writer wouldn't be out of a job if somebody like me, who's a novice or somebody just getting started, could write grants? I'm glad that you have an answer to that.
Because they have all the knowledge to fact check it, to make sure they can top level it and make sure that everything is correct. And if anything, they can use it for the busy work to make it even better.
Thank you for saying that's exactly right. I'm only going to be able to take this tool so far because I only know so much. But somebody that's been writing grants, let's say as an example, for 15 years, they know the questions. They know how to get creative with this tool, and they know how to use this tool to get the output that somebody that doesn't know that language could do. I have enough to be good. They have enough to be incredible. And so I would just say to you, whatever your genius is, whatever your level of genius is, or any of your workforce's genius, and I really encourage you, I actually was just working with a tech company and worked with their executives, and they flew them all into Orlando, and their number one mission for their executives in every organization, every piece of the organization was everybody has to be using AI. That's it. Every single, a mandatory requirement to use AI. And so that's who you're going to compete with, are companies that are on the front line doing that. So I just want you to dream and think that this is the most exciting time in our life. I really believe that it is. This is the most opportunity that we've ever seen in our lifetime to have access to, for me, because I'm a Christian, and I love the Bible, the Word of God, I love it. And it's so fun to go into my chat friend and say, if I were having a conversation with Peter from the Bible about this, what would it look like? Can you give me the historical context of when Jesus said this at the well to the woman? Not recognizing that that woman at the well, it was very unusual for her to be here, so it can take me back into historical time. So your tool is only going to be as amazing as you can create with it. But you can have fun with it and really take a look into the history of life and the future of life with the greatest opportunity that we've ever had in this nation to accelerate and for your business. I hope this has been helpful. I thank you for this opportunity to listen to me while you emptied your glasses. Now it's time for a refill, I think. I don't know, she may have put it up. But I will stop here, open it up for questions or...
Yeah, please.
And yes, and I'm happy to draw for a book and whatever else.
All right, so you might have any questions, open it up.
So you were describing in the beginning, I think you said AGI and then ASI. Can you better define those for me?
So the question is AGI and ASI. So AGI basically is the general intelligence. Okay, so like think about human I can think for myself, I can do things on my own. Super intelligence is beyond that. Now it's not anything inputted into a model, it's on its own thinking. That's the one where that's why I believe we need to get there before anybody else in the world. Yeah.
So the general intelligence will be basically as good as those of us who input it, right? So
Yes, and it'll come up with its own logic. Yep, it'll come up with
Whereas
its,
the other one is able to create logic.
correct.
And create analysis.
Yes.
And create synthesis.
Correct, yes, look it up. Yeah, ASI, AGI and ASI. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So at what levels of business do you think is most beneficial for each level of AI? And what I mean by that, to be specific, is going on ChatGPT, that's one level. Using it, integrating it, having your own specific AI, that's another level. Writing code and doing everything completely unique to your business where it's your IP, that's like at what level would you say would be level of success, employees, whatever, would it attach to those levels?
I think if you're running a multifaceted company, I think the best thing to do, Michael, would be to start with one position, one facet of the business. Even if you took a look at your P&L and you go, let's look at labor, and one of the things I recommend for business owners to do is to be on the cutting edge of technology in your industry, because you don't know what you don't know, right? And so, but if you can look at even just here's one job at a time, and let's see what we can do, what automation we can bring in, and maybe coding. It may be, putting in AI instead of, or just teaching your users to use it so that you can do more with less, or more consistent. Another thing I recommend is look at trouble areas in your business. Where are you having trouble? What part can you clean up or shore up? And really just attack it one at a time and kind of take your own journey with it. I hope that helps a little? Yeah? Okay.
Sorry, I hope you can hear me. So I'm having trouble really envisioning how AI could help my business because I'm in a highly human touch business, senior care. So have you had experience with helping any companies like that? In what ways are they integrating AI?
I haven't personally worked with anyone in senior care, but I know AI companies that are working in senior care. And I would be more than happy to make a connection for you because that is one of the focus areas of this organization for AI. Yep.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, but there's no industry that's not being completely transformed by this. So yeah, if I can get your card and stuff, I'll make a recommendation
Thank you
for
so much.
You're welcome.
You can actually literally just go in there and say, this is my job, this is what I do, how can you help me?
Yeah, it might answer that for you. I do.
Okay, yeah, I won't run the mic.
I consider myself very basic when it comes to AI, and I don't use the paid version, I use ChatGPT, but I was curious about the communication that I have with ChatGPT. Is the paid version better? Does it remember your way of communicating? I went to 13 schools in 12 years, 2 different languages, 3 different countries. So my education, my ability to communicate, especially when it comes to verbal, is very poor. And I was hoping that ChatGPT could kind of fill in the blank and remember my inabilities. Does ChatGPT, can it do that and remember you? If you change phones, or I don't know.
Yes, I highly recommend. It's $20 a month.
Okay.
Yeah, I pay.
Highly recommend it. And if you're getting that where it actually does remember you. You create the files. So if you have one that you're just doing for emails, and just teach it about yourself, and it'll get better every time. Yeah.
But it will remember your personality.
It learns you.
It learns you. Okay. Perfect.
And I don't know much at all, so, but I know it's the future. I know you have to jump on that train or, it's gonna go by. Where can I take a course? Where would you suggest that I would learn? Because this, I know very little. I just talk to Chat GPT and I get 5 questions a day, right? So that's the free version.
Okay.
So where would you send one of us? Like I'm in the construction business, so
Okay.
roofing particularly right now. So where would I go to learn just the basics? Right now I've got Margaret's mother.
I'm your techie bestie.
Yeah. Well, there's different groups. I think the biggest thing is just jump in and start using it. We can do a one-on-one too. And then, just really reading about how people are using it in your industry. I think that's the biggest thing.
People are selling it now. Buy here, I'll learn. $30 a month, I'll teach you. There's so many of them.
Yes. Let's talk offline
Love to.
and we can talk. I have a good friend and he's about 10,000 for just working with the company, but it pays back. I mean, it's worth it. So I've got some good, that's not the one I was talking about for you. It's a different group, but I've got a lot of really great resources of people that are just this is what they do, this is their company.
Yeah, nice
so
to learn.
let's just chat it up and chat it up. Gotcha.
Hey, my name is Matthew Guy. I own a website and digital marketing agency, and I have a cousin-in-law who is a former NASA engineer who's now starting an AI consulting firm, agency. So we've been kind of going back and forth, innovating a lot of different ideas on what his business model would look like. So my question to you is, are there some mentors or agencies out there, similar to digital marketing, how there's a lot of white labels, but companies that he can work with, mentor him in, and also provide him some assets and tools that he can white label and sell as his own through his brand?
Yes, there's a lot of different groups out there. Most of the people in my space are Christian-based companies that do that. But absolutely, I don't know from a mentorship what they would do, but I know there's some consortiums of people that are together doing and working on that. Also know some marketing and digital agencies that have just moved all in on AI. So I think the biggest thing is let's connect this, make sure that we get a card and get connected, and I'll see if I can connect you, different groups. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I was curious, so long ago, like if you had a regular encyclopedia, right? 97% correct, right? Because it quickly becomes somewhat antiquated with the most latest information. Then even Wiki, right? So Wiki, same thing.
Right.
So what is the percentage of error with AI?
I do not know. I don't know the
Ask
answer
it.
to that. Yeah, true. It'll tell you. Yeah, I don't know. I know that sometimes it has phantom things, but for the most, I don't know what your accuracy level is. But the great thing about the tool is it's pulling from everything.
Right.
So it's just so quick. I don't know the error.
It was wrong on a question. I needed wiper blades, and I was at Costco, and they were on sale.
Okay.
And the guy was taking too long to look at the chart, so I asked.
Yes, good
and
girl.
the guy that was selling them, he said, "You better let me check just in case." And she was wrong.
All right.
I asked for 2 cards. She was wrong on 1 blade out of the 4.
That's good to know.
Just to let you
That's
know.
good to know.
Paid ones are more accurate too.
Oh.
They do deeper and it gets better all the time.
I want to. I just don't know where to go. You know.
ChatGPT.
Yeah.
The paid versions are more accurate.
I would have got the right wiper blade.
Oh, I just wanted to say, with AI, ChatGPT is what I use. I just wanted to, you asked like, where do you take classes? I just want to say, I've just been having fun with it. And I think that's it, the thing, it's so easy and you really can't make a mistake. So even with marketing, you can upload your image into it and say, can you create a flyer for me that's promoting, whatever event, or like today what you were doing,
Yes.
and it'll come up with a whole flyer for you.
Oh.
And
Is that Canva, or is that something, or you can just
that not
upload
Canva,
it?
just ChatGPT,
Oh.
and I pay for the account, and that way everything is like over on the left-hand column. And so whatever I'm working on, I can go back to and look at it, saves it there, so it's like a little history panel on the left-hand side. But just have fun. Or how can I better organize my workers' schedule? And it'll give you ideas. Or There was another one I had to do. I had no clue how to do something. What was it? We're having a business expo, and I'm going to talk about that later. But how to best organize a business expo, and it came with step by step by step by step. I mean, it was like, okay, I don't want to do all that. I had to slim it down. But you just have fun with it. Yeah. I'm not an expert at all, but I'm just having fun with it.
That's great.
And the ChatGPT is, you said,
Yes.
So
they have a free version. You can do it
5 questions.
If you're going to use it on a regular basis, I went ahead and paid for it because then whatever I'm working on, I can go back to. Yeah.
Crystal, are you familiar with Poe.com?
What is it?
P-O-E, like Edgar Allan Poe.
No. Oh, I
So
use that.
you use that one too? Yeah. So it has, it's kind of like an open source or a big house that keeps a lot of AI bots in, and then people that are creating their own bots, they can upload there. So it's got an exorbitant amount of tools. For the $20 flat rate, you get all the premiums. You get like DALL-E, you get Google's version, you get, so it's POE.com.
P-O-E.
And Lake Center offers an AI class. They just launched that.
Oh, really?
Oh,
I'll look it up.
That is so good to know.
So I'm kind of with Pam. One of the things I do is I will research on social media my industry with chat, and they'll give you prompts. So they say, go onto chat if you want to create like this SOP or whatever it is, go onto chat, say this. If you want to create a table, you have to put it in a certain way to get that information back. But I have had it, I have one of my folders is what my diet, right? What I'm consuming. So it's easier for me to just text it in, tell me what my carbs, calories, protein, all that is. I did find out that it was not calculating all that correctly. So that was one of the things that I found.
So were you eating more or less than you thought?
I think I was eating, like, just one day I had maybe just, I think, like one meal. And then I was like, man, that sounds like it's not correct. And when I looked it up, it wasn't. So I'm like, how many of these meals were not correct? So I don't know if it was just that one, but I have had it where it doesn't come out correctly.
I never thought about using for diet tracking though. That's good.
Yeah.
It's really good. He's got one more.
I was just going to share the only way that I've used it yet, but it's been amazing for me. I've really got to explore it more. But I'm a realtor. Brandy and I are both realtors.
Yeah.
And one of the most challenging things about being a realtor is when you have a new listing, writing that description. And so now I just go into ChatGPT and I say 3-bedroom, 2-bath, golf course, blah, 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 blah. Write me a real estate listing. And it writes it so beautifully. People just think you're the best writer ever because, and you can even say, tone it down a little bit and it'll rewrite it. Make it fancier and it'll rewrite it.
So good.
It's just amazing to me. So I'm anxious to explore
Thank you for
what
saying
else I can
that.
do with it.
I actually just heard in a conference about marketing from a marketing perspective. And what they said was quit writing prompts about create a marketing campaign, da-da-da-da. This was really cool. And so it might help you in your real estate too. If you have a specific buyer in mind, you have an avatar in mind, say, here's my avatar for this real estate at, it's $500,000, it's pool, whatever. Now I want to solve the problems of people that might be looking for this, and it'll completely reach them in a way that is really powerful. So instead of thinking of it like create it for that, say I am this and what problems might I have and how could this real estate solve those problems or whatever the situation is. But really think about playing with those prompts. But good call on the writing for your stuff. This is so fun. I think we could be here all night. But I do think the wine's out, and I know I'm going to get booed out of here in a minute. Thanks everyone for playing along. Are we going to do a book draw or anything like that? Okay.
I'm gonna skip through your slideshow.
Yeah, there we go. Perfect. And my cards are up there, so people can grab. Feel free to grab a card. Do you want me to draw? Okay. Okay. We've got right here. I don't have glasses on. Oh, Jimmy. He already has my book. Jimmy.
I actually don't have to go.
You know?
No, it's Lawrence's fault.
Cool.
Keep drawing.
Hey, Jimmy. Hey. All right. Derek. Did your mom get her book? Because we did a book swap. So, okay, one more. All right, cool.
I'm gonna swap our
Awesome. Okay, well, thank you guys so much for letting me come and play with you and talk AI. It's so fun. I appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. This is a lively audience.
Yeah, we just got a couple of events to run through. Kate, you want to talk about Women Build Their Habitat? Have you had your portion of wine? No, she doesn't need it.
Okay, so next Thursday, because apparently I'm not allowed to have any Thursdays off now, we have the Women Build Kickoff Party with Habitat for Humanity. This is a great way to learn about the program. And men are allowed to be there. It is women-led, not women, not exclusively. So come on down to the Women Build Party and find out more and sign up. Find a team and sign up and help make people's dreams of home ownership come true.
Sip and Stroll, there's a lot more wine there than there was tonight. So I think there's 16 spots, and the premise of that is to get people moving and grooving in downtown Eustis. So you go to the 16 different merchants downtown, and did you want to tell me?
I just want to say that I did with AI.
Oh, she did? Okay, that's pretty good.
Good job, man.
Yeah.
And all they said was what I wanted on there.
Yeah, got that QR too.
Well, I inserted that. I inserted the QR.
Yeah, Google spit that out pretty quick.
Yeah, like I said, you just have fun with it.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll be there too with the live music, playing cornhole and giving out wine. So, yeah, I encourage you to sign up. And next time, hopefully it's just as good. Leslie Mizrak, International Organizational Change Coach. She's going to talk about battling imposter syndrome. Sounds like a good one.
Especially after learning AI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, maybe you should just do it. No, Leslie's super nice.
You don't feel like you're the
Yeah, I think that feeds into like being intimidated by tech and by just the evolving landscape of all the things as you're growing. She's gonna help us tackle that. And then Business Expo, I'm gonna let Miss Pam talk about that as board chair of the chamber.
Yeah, I had
Well, this one is an exciting new thing that we're doing as a chamber. We're doing two things. That we're going to make our signature event every year. And it's going to be a business expo. We're doing it this spring, and in the fall we're going to do a home and gardens expo. Now the business expo is good for everybody here if you want to showcase your business. You can get a booth and you can highlight your business. It's going to be lined up with all different kind of businesses. We're also going to be offering classes. So if anybody here has a field that they excel in and they want to talk about it and offer a class, we have like one person already signed up to do a class on HR. We have somebody else that's going to do a class on marketing. So if you feel like that, so I'm talking to you as one to come as exhibitors. I would love to see all these businesses come and participate in it and showcase your businesses. It'll be a great opportunity. It's going to be at the community center. We're doing it in June. Okay?
And I'll tell you, Miss Pam's a good one to make happy, so y'all better do what she asks. Home and Garden Expo, kind of the same thing, but home and garden theme.
Yes.
Yep.
Same thing, but that one will be, I'm sorry, that one will be doing at the fairgrounds because we will be having a lot of plants and landscaping. There will be tractors there. There'll be a lot of outdoor things as well. So we're going to be doing that one at the fairgrounds, but same format. Exhibitors, it's going to be free to the public. Both of them, I didn't say that, are free to the public, free parking. So there's no charge for the public to come and see your businesses, which is going to be excellent. And that one there, and the booths are pretty reasonable. I think we said $150 for the booth for 2 days. So that's not so bad. And we're gonna also have a VIP party for all the exhibitors the night before, just so we can all have a good time before we start out working.
It's all about the good time. All right, so I hope you all enjoyed it. And yeah, Krystal, I have more questions, but I'm going to spare you because I know you have a long drive back to Oakland. She's almost in Lake County, so we'll forgive her. But we share that lake. It's okay. So yeah, thank you all. We'll see you next month. So we moved it to the second Tuesday of each month. I know we got a little weird on you, but this is the start of a new good thing going scheduling-wise. So all right, we'll see you then. Thank you.
Thursday.